Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I am All in Crypto, and today we're going to be dropping a long-awaited Cardano video. I've seen lots of comments asking me on my current thoughts in regards to Cardano because we haven't covered it in a little while, and I'm going to be giving them in this video. We're going to be looking at a number of clips of Charles Hoskinson from his recent video titled Great Momentum and Growing Up, where he talks about Cardano, he talks about 2024, 2025, and he also talks about, really what's going on here. And to go back to the comments in regards to asking my current thoughts on Cardano, and I know why these comments have been left because we cover a lot of different cryptos on the channel. We're a big fan of Polkadot and what they're doing. We like a lot of cryptos out there. We've been covering ISO 20022 standard cryptocurrencies or compliant cryptocurrencies recently because we think that, I am an investor and a trader. This is what I do for a living. And it's what I've been doing for a living for nearly 4 years now. And ultimately, we look for opportunities. And certainly, blockchain offers an unbelievable opportunity with the innovation of the financial world. You had the internet, which revolutionized information. And now you have blockchain, which is going to revolutionize and is revolutionizing value. And there's going to be some amazing opportunities in that. And that's why we look at ISO 20022 standards. They're in good positions with really good partnerships. But we also like what we would call almost sort of legacy, I guess, cryptocurrencies like Cardano, Polkadot. We actually think that Bitcoin is nothing short of amazing and almost like divine intervention in regards to the questions that it brought to the world. So we're not all in on sort of cryptocurrencies that are trying to, instead of challenge, like I would argue Cardano is and Bitcoin, the traditional financial legacy systems, actually work with them and try and partner up and innovate them. We're not all in those cryptos. We also like the legacies, the kind of ethos that I think Cardano embodies probably, the most in many areas in terms of decentralization, governance, all this kind of stuff. We really try and we really also like and invest in cryptocurrencies that kind of embody Satoshi's original vision and why this whole cryptocurrency movement started. So without me rambling on, guys, we're going to play a couple of clips of Charles Hoskinson talking about Cardano becoming a 4th generation blockchain. We know it's a 3rd generation, Bitcoin being 1st, Ethereum as it was being 2nd, and now we've got 3rd. You could argue ETH2 is, of course, a 3rd. And without me continuing to ramble on, we're going to look at a few clips. Then we're going to go into a bit of an update, talk about things like Mithril, Midnight, Hydra, the CIP that's currently going on, 1649, governance, and everything in between. But I want to start on a clip from Charles Hoskinson because he's always a good place, certainly for us, for me that hasn't done a update in a little while, to kind of reignite that flame that some of you may have lost.
But then also it frees up other parts of the organization to really start looking ahead to the future, 2025, 2027, and asking some very fundamental questions. Like, how do we become a 4th generation cryptocurrency? How do we build a system that is as useful as possible to 1 billion people for many different use cases and ultimately transform their lives? At the end of the day, Cardano is an ecosystem built upon exponential technologies, but we have yet to fully take advantage of those technologies and get them into everyday people's lives. Another part of my company can then also focus a lot on building on top of Cardano. Many of you are fans of and know of, for example, Midnight, and of our RealFi plans about getting real finance into the hands of people in Africa and other places of the world. These are aspirations we've had for a long time, in some cases deep R&D projects we've had for a long time, but we're building them on Cardano for the people of Cardano and the broader ecosystem of the cryptocurrency space. It's real exciting to be able to build those products and let them compete and do cool things. So when one changes a role, you get some of the past, but then also you get new things in the future. In terms of the vision thing, there's now a way to debate and ratify it through a members-based organization, Intersect, and there's also a way to vote on it. That's the point of 1694, and the community can decide whether that vision makes sense or another vision or a hybrid vision, for example, makes sense. The single most important thread amongst all of this is realizing that we all have to upgrade the EQ, not just the IQ. Cardano has the highest IQ, 180 papers and moon math and all kinds of magic. And it's not easy to write active specifications. It's not easy to write Haskell code. People absolutely understand the rigor, discipline, and sheer brilliance of the research side. What's missing is the human element. if we're going to win, if we're truly going to get to number one, we don't have leaders. We have each other. And that means we have to work well together, which means we have to understand each other. We have to listen to each other. We have to have a high degree of empathy for each other's positions and truly try to understand, not talk at and shout over, but listen to each other in a way.
Very interested. I feel like there's a lot of talking at and talking over and shouting at in the crypto space. But again, this is why I continue to back and champion Cardano. It's why we run a stake pool, for example, because we want an active part in what can only be described as a movement. You know, when we mention ISO, and I don't think it's very fair to say that maybe Bitcoin and Cardano aren't, they're not really working with the legacy system like many other cryptos are, like the ISO 20022 compliant ones. There are elements where they will intertwine. But again, Cardano wasn't built for enterprises necessarily. That wasn't the main objective. It wasn't built to update the Swift system. It was built for the users, the owners of the ADA token, and the users of the Cardano blockchain. And that's something that I love. And I really do think that Cardano embodies the whole movement of cryptocurrency. It's kind of the next evolution of it. And I think that's a very powerful wave that we see. So that's talking about moving on to 2024, 2025. Let's talk about Cardano becoming a fourth generation blockchain. Then we're going to look at a little bit of price action. You guys know I think Cardano has bottomed. We did have our first stab at that back in January. And of course, with the SEC news, it did go on and put in a slightly lower low, or certainly there was a wick. The price didn't actually close on a weekly chart there. But we do assess that Cardano has likely bottomed and that we are in a bull market generally for the space. We're getting a lot of validation on that. So let's go ahead, play this second clip talking about Cardano being and moving towards a fourth generation cryptocurrency. And then we'll get into some of the kind of analytics.
But we have a common goal that we just want a better world. And we think we've stumbled across some tools that can get us there in a very ethical way. So one of the biggest areas of upgrades and emphasis is not to do with protocols or software at all. It has to do with communication, and it has to do with respect and empathy. It's going to be tough because we all have to grow. We all have to learn. But if we do that, we will have created an ecosystem that is worthy of having 1 billion users and transforming the entire world. If we fail to do that, the best case scenarios, we will have produced a lot of really interesting technology and potentially some market value for that technology, but will be a footnote in history as we get replaced by the people who did figure that out. This ecosystem is built for everybody, by everybody, for the purpose of making everything, everywhere better for everyone. That's just the fact. And that's the intent. So we'll get there. It's just going to be a little while. There's now so many different ways to participate, from the SIP editor process to SanchoNet, to building governance software, to participating as a DREP, to joining Intersect, to building new software in the ecosystem, to contributing to an open source project like TX Pipe or Hydra in the ecosystem, to being core developer. All of these opportunities and options are yours.
We'll leave that there. I'll leave a link to Charles's extended video in the description for anybody that wants to go and watch it. It is about just over 19 minutes long. But yeah, you know, Cardano is doing very well. We still like Cardano as a project. As an investor, we always look for opportunities. You know, I own and my portfolio, which you guys will be able to find out more about and what's in it if you become a Patreon, consists of, I think it's just under 20 cryptocurrencies. Cardano is one of the larger allocations, but it's not the largest. And I think there's multiple opportunities in the crypto space. And I think Cardano does offer one. But I'm a big believer in not having all your eggs in one basket. And maybe that might upset people, but that's just my own personal take on it. That being said, we're more so invested in Cardano for the movement of Cardano and what it's trying to do and how it's trying to do it. I actually think Cardano has some just sensational technology. I think it's got one of the best staking mechanisms that there is with Ouroboros and consensus mechanisms. They were very much first on that, I think. I think it's got and going to have an amazing governance model. And I think actually it's going to have a very interesting blockchain. And we spoke about the future of sort of side chains and all this kind of concept. You know, Ouroboros was built to be almost infinitely scalable upwards in regards to it was built to consent and be the consensus of multiple chains, not just Cardano, which sounds very confusing, but we've covered all this. So really, I'm not investing in Cardano for the partnerships. I don't think it necessarily has those in terms of big institutions and traditional financial interaction. I'm really in it for the kind of same reasons that people got into Bitcoin in the early days. And I think that's a very powerful statement that I don't hear many people reiterating in the Cardano community. But in regards to price, we have had an attempt at calling the bottom on this here in January. January the 5th was when we got back into the market. Many of you will be aware. You are above it today, but we weren't quite right on that. You know, you did have this SEC spiller. Then, of course, we know what happened with Ripple. It's a huge win for the entire industry. I do not believe that Cardano is a security, certainly if XRP is not. We're just waiting for you to essentially break out now. You know, I did ultimately think that you stood a really good chance of breaking out here, here, and here. However, we were wrong on that. You sold off with the SEC news. It's a matter of time until you break this, you flip it, and then you will enter, if you watch the EMA do this, this is how it will look, your stage 2 breakout phase. This is what we would call a stage 1, moving into a stage 2. We are currently trying to teach stage analysis in the Patreon for anybody that's interested, but it's not for everyone. I just think it's one of the best ways that retailers can invest and look at a market through the charts. One of the most simple ways, which I think is an important feature to add to a strategy. Cardano is doing very well in terms of an ecosystem, in terms of growth. In fact, in terms of DeFi and TVL, it's been really excelling and expanding. And we actually have got an interview with VYFi coming out very soon for you. Very interesting project. And I'm sure we'll get lots more of the Cardano builders back. We've had Sebastian on. We've had, you know, from Milkamida. We've had loads and loads of different people on the show, and we'll continue to get them on. Mithril is around the corner. You also have, this is all part of the Basho era. You also have Hydra, which is mainnet and being improved as we speak. And then, of course, we've got CIP 1694, which I'm very, very excited about. And we are now moving into the Voltaire era, where Cardano, in the last video we did on Cardano, covered this, where Cardano will become a living and breathing and self-governing organism, essentially, operating system for everyone and anyone. And that is very, very exciting. The last thing for me to do, guys, is to give my stake pool a shout out. The All-In Stake Pool. Again, we've been running an All-In Stake Pool. We've been running this stake pool since 2021, and we're going to continue to do so. I have found it very challenging to get over the sort of 3-4 million mark. We did get to 5 million in the bull run, but we've maintained it even when it wasn't profitable to do so. And ultimately, you know, we plan on being a Cardano validator, operator, stake pool operator for a long, long time because we have a vested interest in the network. We offer very, very reasonable, less than most in regards to margin, which means you get to keep more of the ADA that you get in regards to rewards. And we are minting blocks, so you will get rewards just like any other stake pool. So do consider it, guys, and let me know if you've got any ideas for the stake pool that you'd like to get on board with. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. You know, we've not abandoned Cardano as a project. We are still a massive fan of it. And again, for the reasons that we spoke about in this video, you know, it's got a long way to go, but it's one of those blockchains that actually has built itself and has aimed and strived to be what this industry started out as. And that was an alternative to the corruption that we currently see in the modern world and with the modern systems. That's all I've got for you in this video, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that one. Have a wonderful Thursday. See you in the next.